Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com and welcome to your 2020 New Year's Tarot Forecast. So before we dive in, I want to let you know I'm using the Everyday Witch Tarot for this reading. And if you want your very own personal, private New Year's 2020 forecast reading, I will be offering them for the month of January only. If you're interested, I'll put the link in the description box below this video. Okay, so let's dive in. Now, before we begin, I want you to take one deep breath in. Bring that breath right down into your belly and then exhale. Let's do it one more time. This time, you're inhaling pure energy and, happy thoughts, good vibes, and exhaling any expectations you might have for this reading. So just letting any preconceived ideas or expectations go. I just realized there's a bunch of ash at the side of my video from my sage bundle. Okay, so let's dive in. So I'm going to start by turning over the first card. Now, this card represents the opening message from Spirit. So I'm actually going to just adjust my camera and zoom in here so you're not having to squint to see this card. Okay, whoops. Bear with me. This part's always a little awkward. It's hard when you're doing a big reading to get the camera angle right. All right, so I think that's nice and sharp. Okay, actually, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll just zoom in a little more. All right. So here we have the King of Pentacles. Now, the King of Pentacles is a very confident, very stable, very grounded card. And we're starting off the reading on actually a really hopeful, really positive note. So I love that. And I actually really, really like this card. So I'm really drawn to the fact that he is holding a glass of wine in one hand and he has a partially eaten chocolate cake in the other hand. So I feel like this card is about hedonism and really enjoying life and really enjoying your body. And I also think this is a card of grounding and being grounded. I feel like the advice of this card is that if you just take one piece of advice away from this reading about, how to approach 2020, it's about being grounded and the importance of being grounded this year. I think this year for many of us is going to be a big year, and there's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of change, a lot of transitions. And so it's going to be really important for you to be grounded. Be grounded in your body. Be grounded in yourself. Be really rooted in your own sense of self and your own energy, as well as really grounding your energy into the planet and into the physical realm, being really, really grounded before you fully embark on 2020, before you fully, step off the platform. So it's really important to ground yourself. And one of the best ways to ground your energy is through hedonism and enjoying your body and enjoying life. And that's something that people don't really talk about. You think of grounding meditations and crap like that. You don't really think of drinking wine and eating chocolate cake. And I'm not saying that those things specifically are going to help you get grounded, but you can ground yourself in your body and in the here and now by fully engaging your senses and enjoying the food that you eat, enjoying the fabric that's on your body, enjoying the couch that you're sitting on or the soft fuzzy blankie that you're wrapped in. Really enjoying your physical surroundings. And that's one way that you can ground your energy and calm your energy and feel more stable, because the King of Pentacles is all about creating stability in your life. Okay, so I made little notes here. I have to admit, I normally when I'm doing my weekly readings, I just do it kind of improvisational on the fly. With this reading, because there's so many cards involved, I actually peeked at the cards and I did make some notes about what I wanted to say about each card. So the message, the opening message of the reading is get grounded and You know, don't be afraid to be a little bit decadent in your life and to welcome in more of that decadence and to celebrate life and celebrate the ordinary. You know, you don't have to wait for a birthday or some big accomplishment to celebrate life. Okay, let's move on to the next card. So the next card represents how you can best achieve your goals and dreams this year. Or the way I look at this card, because I'm kind of anti-goal this year. I'm letting go of some of those goal-oriented way that I usually am. Another way to think of this card is just how to approach this year. So here we have the Queen of Cups, which I love. It's nice and balanced. We have started with the King of Pentacles, now we have the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is about being receptive. And actually, maybe you'll be able to see this card a little bit better if I hold her closer. So Queen of Cups is about being open and being receptive, being empathic, really getting in touch with your feeling centers, allowing yourself to feel things fully. And ultimately, she's about listening more than you talk. She's a really good deep listener. And deep listening is where you're not just paying attention to the words that someone is saying. You're also paying attention to their body language, to the energy they give off, to the feelings that come up for you when you're listening to them speak. You're paying attention to the surroundings as well as what you're focused on. So this Queen is encouraging you to listen more this year, be receptive, and tap into your nurturing side and really get comfortable nurturing yourself as well as other people in your life. And you can't fully nurture others and support others if you don't also nurture and support yourself. Support yourself first, nurture yourself first, and that gives you more energy and more presence to offer others that are around you. Now, I get this real sense of offering with this card. As you can see, she's holding this seashell full of water and she's almost like offering it up. And when I looked at this and kind of contemplated, what I got from this is that the best thing that you can offer other people this year is your presence. And what I mean by that is being fully present with people. So when you're talking to people, or even if you're just sitting next to someone, wherever you are, your presence, your being fully there, being fully present is a gift. And that is really the highest offering that you have to offer this year, is being fully present wherever you are, whoever you're interacting with. Another thing that came to mind when I looked at this card is 2020 for you is going to be about holding a space. Whether you're holding a space for yourself and for your own emotions to unfold, or whether you're holding a space for others in your life. And we think of like a counselor being someone who's really good at holding a space for, you know, personal growth to happen or for emotions to come to the surface. And that is really one of the main things that you're going to be doing this year. And I know I said this card was about, you know, how you can best achieve your goals and dreams this year. But in some respects, I feel like this year isn't so much about making plans or making goals. It's about being present with yourself and being present with others and holding that space. So I feel like relationships and feelings are going to be at the forefront of this year. And any goal you set or any dream that you set out to fulfill this year will most likely be in some way connected to relationships or to emotions and feelings and the expression of those emotions and feelings in some way. Okay, so let's move on to the third card. Okay, here we have the Chariot. Now, the Chariot represents actions for you to take this year. So what kind of actions should you take in 2020? The Chariot has all the answers. All right, so the Chariot, this is our first major arcana card. The Chariot in this particular deck represents moving forward and making a big decision. And moving forward always means choosing something. You can't move forward without making a choice of some sort. Sometimes that's an easy choice, sometimes it's a difficult choice. The woman in this card looks like she's having to make a difficult choice. She's not sure if she should go this way or that way, but in order to move forward, in order to get out of stagnancy, she needs to make some kind of a decision. So your most important action that you're going to be making in 2020 is making a big decision. Now, for some of you, this may mean one big decision that you make this year. It may be more than one decision. It may be a series of little decisions that have a big impact over time. It could represent moving, changing jobs, traveling, start. So lots of big changes are happening with the Chariot card. So that's really exciting to see. Okay, so let's move on to the next card. Now this next card represents what you need to let go of, what you need to release in 2020. Okay, so here we have the Two of Cups. Now I'm just going to see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Just bear with me. I'm just going to adjust my camera. Okay. All right, so here we have the Two of Cups, which may seem like a really weird card to get in this position, and it kind of is. So I see the Two of Cups, it can represent a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a working kind of colleague relationship. It essentially represents harmony, working together, friendliness, collaboration. So what does it mean for us in terms of letting go? I think what this is saying is 2020 is the year to let go of the need for partnership. Now this may be, just that some of us will have a need, like we can't do something unless we have someone can do it with, like a friend or our partner or whoever. So it's about letting go of that. Don't be afraid to do things on your own this year in 2020. You don't always have to have someone by your side sharing the experience with you. Also, let go of this need for collaboration. Again, don't be afraid to do projects and start things on your own. You don't always have to collaborate with someone. So there's a couple things I want to point out with this card. So this card can show up in two ways. Number one, you may be letting go of certain relationships in your life, whether those are minor relationships or major ones, or you begin to become more of an individual within those relationships so that there's not this codependency happening. Another thing I get with this card is this is about letting go of needing to keep the peace. And this will actually make more sense once I turn over the very last card, because this card connects with that card. So I think a lot of us want to keep things harmonious. We want to keep things peaceful and flowing smoothly, especially in our relationships. And this can stop us from doing certain things. It can stop us from being authentic. It can stop us from standing up for ourselves. So 2020 is really the year to let go of some of that, letting go of that need to keep the peace, and letting go of that need to please, basically, and to always appease the person that we're partnered with, whether that's a romantic partnership, working partnership, or a friendship. Okay, so let's move on to the center card. Now the center card is the main theme of 2020. Now you're really gonna crap when I turn over this card because it's an intense one. Death. Okay, so death is a very intense and powerful card, and it symbolizes change. It symbolizes release, letting go, cutting cords, cutting certain ties, and essentially this is a card of transition. So if you look at this card, there's two doorways in the background. One doorway is firmly shut, the other doorway is just open and ajar. And it's this idea that when one door closes, another door opens. But there's this awkward in-between phase where you're in this kind of foggy, misty, confusing place where there may be a lot of self-doubt. So the in-between phase is when, you know, you leave something or something ends and the next phase hasn't started yet. So you're kind of figuring things out. And it's this awkward kind of transition phase. And that is kind of the theme of 2020 is 2020 is going to be a year of big changes for us. We'll be letting go of certain things, we'll be starting new things, and I feel like this is going to play out in multiple ways. It's not just going to be like one thing that changes. There's going to be some big changes, there's going to be some little changes, but essentially this is a year of almost transition, like figuring things out, finding yourself, and I feel like a lot of it is about finding your voice, finding your sense of individuality, and getting a stronger sense of yourself. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about this card. Your old habits and patterns. And when I look at this card, and when I looked at this card earlier, when I first kind of did this reading, the phrase changing the pattern was really loud in my head. Like that's all I heard when I looked at this card is, this is about changing your pattern. So all of us have certain habits, certain patterns, certain habitual ways of doing things. And this death card is about changing that pattern. And this is actually a very empowering card to get when you think of it that way. This is about stepping outside of the dance that you normally do. So instead of doing the old dance moves, the old dance steps, you step out of the dance, you take a step back, and you look at what you're doing. And you make some changes. Okay, so we might come back to this card at various points throughout the reading, but let's move on to the next card. So this next card represents the future opportunities and energies in 2020. Okay. So here we have the Two of Pentacles. Now, the Two of Pentacles, it's what I would call kind of a busy card. It shows that you're going to be busy in 2020. It's going to be a bit of a balancing act throughout the year. There's going to be multiple opportunities for you this year. You are not going to be lacking in things to do or opportunities. There's going to be lots of opportunities, perhaps multiple jobs or projects, multiple responsibilities. You're going to be playing multiple roles this year, and you may find sometimes it might get a little frustrating that you're having to sort of juggle so many different things and having to jump from being one person to one thing to being someone else to someone else. But ultimately, the message of the Two of Pentacles is that this is a balancing act, and you can do it. So you have the power to balance these things in a way that's actually harmonious. So if you look at the figure 8 pattern here, that figure 8 pattern it's an infinity symbol, but it's also a symbol of flow, of harmony. And so I don't know if you've ever had a day where you've just been super productive, and then at the end of the day, you look at all the stuff that you did that day, and you're like, oh wow, it actually didn't feel like I was working that hard. Like everything just kind of flowed and everything just happened, and I was just in the moment, and I just dealt with things, and I, did stuff. And that's kind of what this card represents. So I feel like 2020 is a year where you're going to do a lot of stuff. You're going to get a lot of stuff done. And it may not feel like you're working that hard in the moment. Some days it will be. So on bad days, it will feel like you're super busy and you're overwhelmed. And on good days, you're going to feel like you're in the flow and you're very productive and you're getting things done. So that is, in a nutshell, kind of the energy of 2020 and the opportunities that are going to be there. Now, let's move on to the next card. I'm just going to adjust my camera again. Okay. All right, so this next card represents any potential obstacles that might get in your way in 2020, and also how you can overcome those obstacles. So here we have the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so the Queen of Pentacles, I love that she's here because we had the King of Pentacles was the first card, so we have both the King and the Queen. And the Queen represents comfort, she represents stability, and basically kind of having your shit together, being comfortable, being really grounded, being practical, no drama, things are calm, things are good. So as an obstacle card, I feel like she represents having the need for comfort, having that need for creature comforts. So let me explain this. I often find that my desire to be comfortable stops me from doing things. There's all kinds of adventures and risky things I want to do. I want to take risks. I want to create something. I want to express myself. I want to say what I feel or whatever. And this desire to be comfortable often stops me because I'm like, well, if I do that, it's going to be uncomfortable. And just this year, I got over my fear of camping because I always thought, oh, it'd be so fun to go out in the wilderness and camp. And I thought, no, it wouldn't be. I have to pee in the bushes, have to pack my own food. It's going to be a pain in the ass. And I thought, you know what? That's stopping me. That need to always be comfortable is stopping me from having experiences. And so I got over my initial fear of camping, and I went camping not once, but twice this summer. And yeah, it was kind of horrible, but it was also fun in some ways. So this Queen of Pentacles represents that sort of, not doing things, not moving forward, not growing as a person because you're worried that it's going to be uncomfortable. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable this year, which I realize may sound discouraging, but it's not. It should be empowering. So get comfortable with discomfort. And another thing I get with the Queen of Pentacles is the advice or this idea that comfort, true... It's my cat just chiming in the background. That true comfort comes from your inner state, not outer things. So instead of focusing on creating comfort for yourself through, attaining certain things or whatever, focus on being at peace with yourself no matter what is going on around you. So it's really about kind of cultivating that sense of inner peace. And this kind of comes back to what I said at the very beginning when I was talking about the King of Pentacles and about getting grounded and getting stable. This isn't about making it so all the circumstances in your life are stable. This is about becoming stable yourself. So there's a difference. So sometimes we'll tell ourselves, well, I can't relax or I can't feel comfortable until, I have a stable job or until I'm in the right relationship or until I have my own home or whatever. And this is about creating that sense of stability and inner peace within yourself first, and not relying on the outer things in your life to give you that sense of stability and comfort. This is tricky. This isn't an easy task, but this is the advice of the Queen of Pentacles when it comes to overcoming obstacles this year. If you have that sense of inner peace, you will be able to take risks, you'll be able to do difficult things, you'll basically be able to overcome any obstacle that stands in your way this year if you have that inner sense of peace within yourself. Okay, so this next card that I'm going to turn over represents talents that you will be expressing this year. So these are innate talents that you already have that you're really going to be using in 2020. And the card we have here is the Eight of Wands. Now, the Eight of Wands is all about your ability to make things happen, to get the ball rolling, to shift things and move energies in your life. It's also a card of manifestation and taking action. Now, this isn't about, how do I say this? I feel like this year you're going to be really good at creating or manifesting what you need, but not necessarily what you want. So it's about, you'll get the ball rolling, you'll take action on something, and then things will maybe spiral out of control, or they may feel like they're spiraling out of control. And the end result may not be what you had in mind. This may not be what you wanted to create, but it's what you're needing. Like it's going to benefit you more than if you were to have gotten what you thought you wanted. Because sometimes what we think we want isn't what we need, or it's not what we actually want. So that's just something to keep in mind this year. So this is the talent that's going to be expressed is your ability to manifest things. I think you're going to have an increased ability to take action and to get the ball rolling, and your actions are going to have more of an effect this year than they have previous years. Because have you ever had that feeling where you've been taking action, you've been doing things, you've been sending letters, you've been talking to people, you've been putting things out there, and nothing really happens, or like nothing really moves forward, at least not in any big way? This is the opposite of that. So even small actions and small things that you do are going to have a bigger impact this year when it comes to getting you to where you need to go. But just keep in mind that this is not about manifesting what you want. You may think you're manifesting what you want, but in the end you end up manifesting what you need. All right, the last card, this is the parting message of the reading. This is kind of the last card that's going to let you know really what you need to know to make the most out of 2020. And this card is the Seven of Swords. Okay. This used to be one of those cards that I always struggled with, but I don't anymore. So that's nice. I know everyone has their certain cards that they struggle with. All right, so the Seven of Swords, there's two main things that stand out to me with this card. Number one is the way her feet look, the way it looks like she is perhaps tiptoeing or sneaking, like she's trying to move through this room undetected. To me, it reminds me of like walking on eggshells, or just tiptoeing, trying not to alert anyone. The other thing that I notice is the two swords that are crossed over the shield, and then her arms are also crossed. She's clutching these swords to her chest, but her arms are crossed. To me, that represents inner conflict and feeling conflicted in some way. So what does this card mean for us? The message of this card is to stop walking on eggshells and to be authentic. To be able to transcend your inner conflict and to be who you are. So this is where, remember when I was talking about the Two of Cups, and this was about what you need to let go of, and I said you need to let go of, maybe the need to please, or the need to not rock the boat, and the need for things to be harmonious. This is where the Seven of Swords comes in. So your task this year is about being authentic and expressing yourself and not being afraid to do this. And sometimes this rocks the boat. So sometimes we feel like we need to tiptoe through life and walk on eggshells because we don't want to disrupt the peace. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to upset people. We don't want to create discomfort for ourselves. We don't want to create that kind of drama, that kind of scene. We want things to be peaceful and on an even keel. And this card is saying, fuck that. Be who you are, be authentic, stop walking on eggshells. You're going to feel conflicted about this because it's going to feel like you are going outside of your nature sometimes this year when you act authentically, when you express who you are, when you stand up for yourself, when you voice your needs and desires. It's going to feel in a way like you're doing something unnatural. It's going to feel weird, and you're going to feel conflicted about it. You also don't want to hurt people. You don't want to upset people. That's not who you are. So again, it's going to create that inner turmoil, that inner conflict. And this year, it's about transcending that inner conflict. And how do you transcend that inner conflict? You go into your heart. Conflict is often in the mind. It's not really in the body or in the heart. It's in the mind. It's because you're trying to figure things out mentally. Go within, go into your heart space. Go into your heart and find out what is pure and what is true for you. And when you come from that place, suddenly the fear of hurting others is not as strong. It's more about expressing your heart, expressing what is important to you. And you can do that in a loving way. And sometimes it will upset people. That is something that can happen. But this is about letting go of that. Also, and I'm actually going to zoom out now for the rest of this reading because I'm going to start to tie it all together. Just going to, bear with me, I'm just going to adjust my camera here. So basically what I wanted to say about the Seven of Swords here and the Two of Cups is sometimes we don't say what we want to say, or we don't do what we want to do. We're not authentic because we are afraid of hurting those we love. We're afraid of rocking the boat. We're afraid of creating drama. But give the people in your life more credit. Trust that they will be able to handle you. They'll be able to handle the real you. They'll be able to deal with your requests and your needs and you expressing who you really are. Give them credit for that, because sometimes we assume that people won't be able to handle it or it's going to be too much. But you know what? Give people more credit than that. Okay, so now we're looking at all these cards together. So we're looking for patterns, we're looking for themes, and there's a few things that I want to point out. Let me just refer to my notes here. All right, so the two majors were Death and the Chariot. And this shows that this year is going to be a year of moving forward. And like I said, you can't move forward without making choices. You can't move forward without letting something go, right? In order to move forward without a bunch of baggage and things tying you back, you sometimes have to let go of something. So that is going to be a big theme this year. That's going to be happening. And for some of us, this may feel hard, it may be difficult, it may be painful. For some of it's going to feel the opposite. It's going to feel exuberating, it's going to feel liberating. And for some of us, it may be a little bit of both. I love how the King and Queen of Pentacles have made an appearance in this reading. And I feel like that just strengthens the message of these two cards. I feel like that's just reiterating the importance of getting grounded within yourself and creating stability for yourself, however that looks for you. I also notice that there's a lot of twos in this card. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, we have the two Queens, we have the Two of Cups, we have the Two of Pentacles. Death, we have two doorways. The Chariot, there are two signs, two pathways that we need to choose between. So there's a lot of this number two happening in the reading. What does that mean? I think it has to do with choice, choosing one thing over another thing. It also has to do with integration, acknowledging that we may have two parts to ourselves. This might be your dark side, your shadow side, and your light side, and it's about bringing those two together and being more whole, more integrated. I feel like it also has to do with that inner conflict that I talked about in the Seven of Swords. You may have two voices. You may have one voice saying, say this, do this, and another voice saying, no, do this. And this is about, taking a look at that and maybe bypassing those two voices and going straight to your heart to get, guidance. Okay, the other thing that I want to mention before we close this reading is the theme of self-doubt. Self-doubt will come up this year, and I see that when I look at the Chariot. Like, just look at her expression. I'm going to show you here. She has this kind of look of, what am I going to do here? It might not be a look of self-doubt, but that's kind of how I originally read it. And then again, with the Eight of Wands here, she has this kind of bewildered look on her face. And then the woman in the Seven of Swords doesn't seem all that confident. So I feel like with these cards, you know, there's plenty of confident cards in this reading. Like there's the all the court cards, so the King and the Two Queens, those are confident cards. But I feel like self-doubt is something that is going to come up this year. And this is just something to be aware of. It's something that happens, and it's not a sign that there's anything wrong if you're doubting yourself. It's just an indication that you need to, like I kind of hammered home with this card, you need to go into your heart. You need to go deeply into yourself to find out what is true for you in this moment. Let me just see if there's anything else I want to mention. It looks like an exciting year. There's going to be a lot happening this year, and I feel like I say that every year when I do this reading, because of course a lot's going to happen every year. I feel like this is a year where there's going to be a lot of growth happening, and growth is exciting. It can also be painful. It can be overwhelming. It can feel freeing. It can feel liberating. The end result is always positive. The process of growth doesn't always feel positive, but the end result is always positive. I feel like this is a year where you're going to be getting to know yourself better. You're going to be getting clearer on who you are and what your purpose is and what you're doing on this planet. And yeah, that's basically what I want to say. So I just want to say good luck, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this reading helpful. I hope that it's been inspiring and uplifting, because there's lots of positive stuff here. I feel like I kind of, with the Death card in the middle and stuff, and I focused a lot on personal growth and some of the challenges that will come up this year. But there's also a lot of really stable cards, like all the court cards, for instance. There's a lot of really stable, wonderful cards here. So it's going to be a good year. It's going to be an exciting year. So I just want to say Happy New Year. Best of luck with everything. If you want to learn more about tarot and tarot card reading, you can check out my website, dailytarotgirl.com. I'll put the link to my site in the description box below this video. Thank you so much for watching.